Hey, Jason, great to see you. How are you?
Hey, thank you, Bonnie. I'm very well. How are you?
Good, good. Family's good. Everybody's doing well.
Yep, everybody's doing very well, thanks.
Fantastic. Okay, I got to tell you, I watched the entire series of this for you.
Oh,
I
really?
loved it. I listen. This is my era of hockey. Okay, I
Oh,
grew
yeah.
up in that era, so these were my guys. So, from oh my God, I was in heaven watching this because these are, like I said, these were my hockey players, but just seeing
Yeah.
the old footage and the gardens and oh my God, did it ever bring back memories? So my first question to you, my friend, is when do you recall the first time you ever saw Borje Salming play?
Wow. You know what?
I mean, we're going back a few years.
We are. I grew up in Vancouver.
I know,
So
I
for me,
know. Yeah,
but just like in every other part of Canada, in Vancouver, Saturday night is hockey night in Canada.
right.
And I saw Borje play for the first time, I think I maybe saw him play in person once, but I grew up watching him on TV, oddly enough.
Yes. Yeah, well, same. I mean, I did go to as many games at the Gardens as I could possibly go to. Look, you have to be a billionaire to be able to have seasons tickets. Like it's insane, right? But
Yeah,
I went to a number of games in my day. And just read, like I said to you earlier, just reliving this for me was astounding. And what I did not
yeah,
know about Borje, like just his backstory. So here you are, you're playing Gerry McNamara, the guy who
yeah.
brought him and got to Toronto. You were the talent scout. Now, I'll talk about this in a few seconds, but you did an extensive documentary on Harold Ballard. Thank you. That was
I did.
amazing. Again,
Yeah.
eye opening. But how much did you have to dig deep to find out about Gerry?
It was hard. It's very hard. There's not a lot of information about Gerry out there. But during the Ballard documentary, I got to spend a half a day with Gerry while
Yeah.
I was interviewing him for that interview. So I learned a lot about him during that day, and I was able to find some things about him online, and some interviews and stuff that he had done, like with Dave Hodge and guys like that. So I was able to sort of piece together his speech pattern and his voice, and where he was at back then. And that's what I based all my research on.
Yeah, and that was a tough time in hockey because, like you say, you really got to do a deep dive on Harold Ballard and what he was all about. I mean, us Canadians know what that man was like, and we see a little bit of it in this series as well. I mean,
Yeah.
you really go at it in the doc, which is very interesting. But um, it boggles my mind, greed. What is it? What is it that he basically kind of screwed up the team at that time? You know?
He did. Yeah, 100%. And it was all about from what I was able to ascertain making the movie. It was so much of it was about ego for him, and it was everything had to be about him. And
Right.
he made all these trades, and he did all these things, and he destroyed his own team. So much of it was just him being vindictive and him trying to settle scores, and he felt like he felt like he had to be the guy above the fold in the Toronto newspapers every morning, and it was so like I feel like a lot of it was ego gratification for him,
Yeah.
and just sort of giving the finger to the Toronto elite status quo back then. Um, he felt like he was more important than the franchise, I think.
Yeah, and I always remember hearing as a kid too, like Punch Imlach, and then seeing what
Yeah,
he does in this series. Oh my God, like
yeah,
him and Sittler were just like, oh my God. Was
oh
there
yeah.
anything that surprised you while making this series about Boris Salming, about anybody, not just Salming, that you kind of sat back and went, really? That happened?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, continually, I'm surprised by some of the shenanigans that go on. But the thing I really liked about this story and about Borje, I like you. I liked seeing his origin story and sort of where
Yeah.
he came from, and so, that rough and tumble mining town that he was trying to escape, really, right? So he didn't have to go down and, live his life underground like everybody else in the town. It's inspiring, and I think it speaks. It definitely speaks to the way that he played when he was in the NHL. He was
Yeah.
for a European player, he's one of the toughest European players that ever came along, and he was one of the first in the league, which is remarkable.
Yeah.
It was I found all that stuff super interesting because
Yeah.
I'm of the age that I know the legend of Borje Salming, and
Sure.
I watched him play when I was a young man. But to sort of get a glimpse behind the curtain and the things that really drove him to be the kind of player he was really interesting.
Yeah. Why do you think it is that his brother, equally as talented and whatever, but he decided to stay, and
Yeah.
yeah. Well, did you ever get into that or figure that? I always
No.
found that interesting that he didn't want to make the move here
Yeah.
or North America.
Right. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
people make choices, right? Like, who knows?
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Interesting.
I'm
No,
not
it
sure.
just
Yeah.
it brings up a lot of questions and made me think a lot. I don't want to give anything away because, like I said, as I was watching each episode, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And there's a very well. All I'm going to tell you, people, is at the very last scene of this series, you have a box of Kleenex next to you. Clearly, like,
No.
oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know if I know that Börje was obviously on board before he passed away. Did he get to see the
Mhm.
series? Do you know if he saw some of this before he passed away?
That I do not know. I
Mhm.
know that while we were in Stockholm and shooting the things in Stockholm that we shot, he actually came to visit on set one day while I
Nice.
was there, and it was wonderful to see him. But you could tell that his ALS had progressed to a point where
Yeah.
it was super unfortunate and very, very sad. He was an incredible player and an incredible man, and he was taken from us all far too
Yeah.
soon.
100%. Yeah, we truly loved him here in Toronto, that's for sure, and
Yeah.
around the world. Everybody loved everybody. He was such a
I,
good guy. How did you hook up with Viaplay? This is a new streaming service. How did this
mhm.
script come to you, and what kind of intrigued you about taking it on?
Well, this project came to me the good old fashioned way. It came, they sent it to my agent to see if I'd be interested in playing Gerry McNamara, which of course I was. I responded to the material, and I liked the material, and to get to play a guy like Gerry, who's
Yeah.
a very iconic Canadian. It was a great opportunity for me, and I hope that I did Gerry proud, and I hope that Borje would be proud to
Oh,
see this thing.
100%. And there's so many great little Easter eggs, like we see Jim McKinney in a little role and things like that. It's
Yeah.
just like I said, for
Well,
a
and
guy. Go ahead.
Gerry too. There's a
Yeah.
scene in the movie where Gerry's actually the cab driver in a cab in New York, that
Yes.
when Walter and I are trying to get in a cab. It was pretty funny.
I can't not ask about Walter. I mean, of course, coming from that famous Skarsgård family, how could he not be phenomenal?
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
actor's better than the next, coming from his dad all the way down. What was it like to work with him? He just embodied the role as far as I was concerned. He was
he
fantastic.
Yeah, he did. I thought he was great. He's a super talented young man, and tall and handsome.
It's
He's a
sickening,
triple
isn't it,
threat.
Jason?
He's a super talented kid, a super nice kid. There were a lot of demands put on him during this production, and I
Oh,
think he rose to the occasion very well.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, I can't say enough about it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm a hockey fan, but I'm not a hockey fan. So I think that
Right.
people who grew up in this era for sure will really enjoy it. I wanted to ask you, speaking about growing up with people, like, look, we've all grown up with you, from 90210
Mhm.
onwards to all the stuff that you've done here in Canada. I want to ask you, I mean, important at the end of the day is it for you to work here in Canada? I know you don't live here anymore. But truly you've done that. You did the series, and it's so well, and you always seem to have your fingers here in Canada, which we love. How important is that for you?
Well, it's very important. I mean, I'm a Canadian, and I feel I always feel like I'm giving back to the industry that I cut my teeth in, right? So working on projects in Canada is very important to me.
Yeah. Anything else coming up that we need to know about? Especially
Um,
now that the strike is over. You must be thrilled.
I know now. Oh my God, I'm so happy the strike is over, and not only selfishly, but also for the membership of the union at large, and the people who work in all the ancillary
Yeah.
industries that have been severely impacted by this strike. So I'm very happy for everyone involved that we can all get back to work. And I think it's probably going to be until it won't be till January till things really open back up. But I think I'm very excited, and I think everybody else is too.
Yeah. Well, we're very, very happy, and good on Fran for standing her ground and honestly like
Yeah,
fighting like she did for all of you guys. And
yeah.
and as an entertainment journalist, I'm so glad I'll be able to talk to stars again. How nice. Not that I don't know the directors and behind the scenes, but yeah, what can I tell you? Listen,
Yeah.
Jason, thank you so much for your time as always. I always love talking to you and catching up. And like I said, you're really great in this series, and the whole series just is kick ass. I absolutely loved it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Bonnie. I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Okay, take care. Have a nice day.
All
All
right.
right. Okay,
Thanks. You
bye-bye.
too. Bye bye.
Thank you.